Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're diving into some incredible insights from the book Work Rules by Laszlo Bock. This book is like a treasure chest of ideas on how to create a thriving workplace culture. You know, it's fascinating because Bock, who was the senior vice president of people operations at Google, really revolutionized how we think about work. So, let's get into it.
Oh, wow, that sounds super interesting. I mean, Google is like the ultimate workplace, right? What are some of the key ideas he talks about?
Absolutely. One of the first big ideas is the importance of hiring for potential rather than just experience. Bock argues that if you hire someone based solely on their past achievements, you might miss out on someone who has the potential to grow and innovate. It's like planting a seed. You want to choose the right soil and conditions to help it flourish.
That makes sense. So, if you were hiring for a creative role, you wouldn't just look for someone with a long resume of past jobs, right? You'd want to see their creativity in action?
Exactly. You want to see how they think, how they approach problems. Bock suggests using structured interviews and real-world problem-solving tasks during the hiring process. It's like giving them a mini project to see how they tackle challenges.
Oh, that's so cool. I can totally see how that would work. Do you have an example of how that might play out in a real hiring scenario?
Sure. Let's say you're hiring a marketing manager. Instead of just asking about their previous campaigns, you could present them with a hypothetical product and ask them to create a marketing strategy on the spot. This way, you get to see their thought process and creativity in real time. It's like a cooking show challenge, where you see who can whip up the best dish under pressure.
I love that analogy. So it's like a chop for job interviews. What else does Bock talk about?
Another key idea is the concept of freedom and responsibility. Bock emphasizes that when employees are given the freedom to make decisions, they feel more invested in their work. It's about creating an environment where people can take risks and innovate without the fear of failure.
Wow, that's really empowering. So it's like giving them the keys to the car and saying, go drive wherever you want. But how do you balance that with accountability?
Great question. Bock suggests that with freedom comes the responsibility to deliver results. It's about setting clear expectations and then trusting your team to meet them. Think of it like a tightrope walker. They have the freedom to perform, but they also know they need to stay balanced to avoid falling.
Ooh, I like that. So it's all about finding that sweet spot between freedom and accountability. Do you think this approach would work in every industry?
That's a thought-provoking question. While the principles can be applied broadly, the execution might vary. For instance, in a creative industry, more freedom might lead to groundbreaking ideas, while in a more structured environment, like healthcare, there might need to be more guidelines in place. It's all about context.
Right. So it's like tailoring your approach based on the specific needs of the industry. What's another big takeaway from the book?
Another fascinating point Bock makes is about the importance of feedback. He believes that regular, constructive feedback is crucial for employee growth. It's like tuning a musical instrument. Without regular adjustments, it can go out of tune.
Oh, I love that. So it's not just about annual reviews, right? It's more like ongoing conversations?
Exactly! Bock advocates for a culture of continuous feedback where employees feel comfortable giving and receiving input. This can lead to a more engaged and high-performing team. It's like having a coach who's always there to help you improve, rather than just waiting for the big game to give you advice.
Wow, that's such a refreshing perspective. I can see how that would create a more dynamic workplace. So, what's the last big idea you want to share from Work Rules?
One last gem is the idea of data-driven decision-making. Bock emphasizes the importance of using data to inform HR practices. It's about moving away from gut feelings and basing decisions on solid evidence. Think of it like a scientist conducting experiments. You want to rely on data to guide your conclusions.
Oh, that's super interesting. So it's like using analytics to figure out what works and what doesn't in a workplace. Can you give an example of how that might look in practice?
Sure. For instance, if a company wants to improve employee retention, they could analyze data on turnover rates, employee satisfaction surveys, and exit interviews. By identifying patterns, they can implement targeted strategies to address the root causes of turnover. It's like being a detective, piecing together clues to solve a mystery.
Haha, I love that. So it's all about being proactive rather than reactive. This has been such an enlightening conversation. I can't wait to dive deeper into work rules and explore these ideas further.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. There's so much more to uncover in the book, and I think it can really change the way we think about work. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Until next time, keep questioning and keep learning.